Welcome, everybody, to this new episode of Spanish Loops. Hola, Jorge. How are you doing?
Hola, Francisco. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. As usual, and everything is fine. Everything is wonderful. And everybody out there, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Doesn't matter the time that you are, wherever you are in the world. How are you doing today, Francisco?
Well, not as relaxed as you are. I see you
Why?
very relaxed, very calm. Gives me the
Ah,
vibes of the beach and the sun. Well. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you again for the second time today. Um, well, it's probably you're saying that because of the topics. I've been many, many times to this place that actually it is a place, the topic that we want to talk about, which is, you tell us, Francisco.
Well, this week we are going to be talking about the Canary Islands.
Hmm.
Seven beautiful little islands that are almost in the Ecuador, very close to Africa, and they are Spanish. What can we say about them? That we call them the fortunate ones because they always have good
Yep.
weather.
Hmm.
They're magnificent and they are, I would say, the perfect getaway from, especially here where I live in the north of Spain. In the winter, it's cold and it's rainy and it might be snowy, but we all dream about going to the Canary Islands.
Yes, and it's a very hard destination to go because, as you will say, there are seven islands. And actually, it is to me every time I go there, I don't know them all. I have to say, I know one, two, three, four, five islands.
I
Uh, I,
only
it,
know three of them.
Three. Oh, so you've been there?
Yeah, I've
Okay,
been there.
good. Yeah, right. Um, but yeah, it's a tourist spot. Tourism is all year round going on in all the islands, except for a couple of them that they are less touristy than others for different reasons that we will let you know later on. But the other five, yes, they are very popular among the European citizens because it's European territory. Is one of those 17 autonomous regions that Spain is divided into. And this is one of those two that they are overseas. And as you said, it's a bunch of seven islands in the northwest coast of Africa. And yeah, the weather is good weather is almost guaranteed all year round. The temperature there, I would say, is an average in between 60 at night and 80 maximum, daytime. So it is just fantastic.
They are gorgeous. Well, first of all, let's talk about the origin because they're volcanic,
Oh
right?
yeah, it is volcanic, and well, let's start. The origins is volcanic. That's true, and it is said that Pluto believed that those are the remains, the higher spots of those territories that they were lost in what today is the the Atlantida, by the way, that's what they
Ooh,
say. Yeah, it's one of those
mythological
legends.
creatures.
Yeah, that's right. And but anyway, they are beautiful. They're so green. The humidity down there is really good. Some of them are very arid. It is very fascinating. I mean, they are together. Um, in a way that it is a bunch of islands. You can navigate from one to another. They are connected by ferry. The closest ones, the one farther away from the other, they're by plane. Is a regional airliner that connects them. There are many flights every day because the being in, although as I said, it's a European territory. They are not under the VIT tax regulations. They have a special tax which it is only a 7%. And those who are residents on those islands, they can fly really cheap from one island to another. They have that benefit. In the other hand, those who, let's say that you want to go to a couple of islands and you want to fly in between the islands, the flights are not cheap at all. They are, I could say, very expensive, but it all depends if you get them in advance. With long time in advance, you get better deals. That's what's happening nowadays with all these flights, trains, buses, etc., etc. But we have to go back to the year 1402 that the history of the archipelago began to change the course, and they were, I mean, It is believed that after more than 1,000 years of Aboriginal rules and legends, Norman and Spanish explorers began to reach the shores with a mission.
Mission? What mission?
Yeah, to conquer the Castilian, I mean, in the name, conquer the islands in the name of the Castilian crown. It was a turbulent time of only 94 years that
Oof.
marked forever the destiny of those two civilizations, and the testimony is still alive in several places in the Canarian geography. With the time, more and more sailors approached the archipelago, some by mistake, others by ambition. And it didn't take long for them to touch land and discover the enormous wealth of each island treasures, something that did not go unnoticed by the Castilian crown, who decided to take action in order to take advantage of the enormous strategic possibilities offered by those volcanic islands in Atlantic waters.
Well, I mean, really, we're talking the moment when a little bit later America is discovered. It was a perfect hub spot to go, sail from the peninsula all the way to the Canary Islands. It's still Spain, and from there, cross the ocean blue.
That's
So,
true. And in fact, the it is said that the plans that it is said no, it is I mean there are records about it that Christopher Columbus, when he first sailed on the first journey, he stopped over in one of the westernmost islands called La Palma, not with an S at the end. La Palma. There is another island called Las Palmas. Okay, and he stopped everything
okay.
in their ships just to go there. And in fact, I've been a couple of times in the island. Not many flights. That's one of those islands I said a few minutes ago that they don't have so many flights. And there is another one which I'll let you know later. And it's because the sky is so clean there that the air traffic is restricted. And when you reach in that island, the island of La Palma, the airplanes they have to go below an altitude for several tens of miles just not to interfere something which is probably many people don't know about this, but in the northern hemisphere of the earth, the largest complex of telescopes is located there, and the largest telescope, only by 2 feet wide, is in diameter, is there. And I've been a couple of times in that complex. It's absolutely fascinating. They are pretending in 3 years to finish another huge big complex that will be annexed to what exists nowadays. And it will be the largest complex in the Northern Hemisphere. So,
And
um,
the, but the thing is that it makes so much sense. I mean,
yeah,
we're talking about some isolated islands in the middle of the ocean
totally. That's right. Yeah.
with barely no population. So there's no light contamination. So you get to see the stars
Mhm.
perfectly, and you are almost in the equator. So
And
you
also, Francisco, let me tell you, one of the things I learned the last time I was there was some not so long ago. A local guide, just a colleague, just told me that even in the cities, small towns, I mean, the city of the island is not very big; it's under 100,000 inhabitants. Um, but there are regulations about the city lighting at night. They have to be up to a certain power and being only clear enough to let the people walk without any problem, but they cannot go over that point of luminescence. So
I
there,
love it. I mean,
it's very strict. Yeah.
it's perfect to see the sky, and
Mhm.
they take it seriously. So
Yeah,
great for them.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, and getting back to the history, there is no clear evidence of the presence of civilizations other than the Aborigines that they were before the arrival of the first explorers and conquerors. They were known since ancient times, and there are texts from antiquity that refer them as the Fortunate Islands, as you said before. That's why we call them Las Islas Afortunadas in Spanish. Okay. Well, they were placed in the old Greek mythology about that place called the Atlantis or Atlantida. It was placed on the west of the Gibraltar state, and there were areas that managed to be saved from the sinking of the legendary continent. That is the legend, areas that were saved about the sinking continent. Whether it is true or not, I don't know if we'll ever get to know it. But anyway, that's part of the curiosities that I do believe that makes or gives a little charm about the islands.
Well, I mean, who cares? I mean, as somebody said, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn if it's true or not. But by the way, Gone with the Wind was not shot in there.
No, wasn't,
No,
wasn't,
no,
wasn't,
no, no, no,
wasn't,
no.
wasn't at all. Yeah. Well, listen, getting back again into history, it was the case of the Vivaldi brothers that left the port of Genoa in 1291, if I'm not mistaken. And they just left for the unknown, just to see if that legend was true or not. Okay. They disappear sometime, and then it was motivated the captain Lancelotto Moloche. I have to read this name. Wait a minute. Lancelotto Molocello. Uh,
Monticello.
yeah. He was encouraged to go and see what happened to these very first explorers that went to see was true or not. So he crossed the what it was called, and we have told in many podcasts, the Pillars of Hercules, which is the Strait of Gibraltar, right? And well, he ended up arriving in 1312 in the shores of the unexplored island that today is called Lanzarote. It was named by himself, Lancelot Lanzarote, okay? And it was inhabited by the Majos. The Majos are the aborigines of the islands. And he decided to stay there for 20 years, establishing as the Lord and changing the original name of the island, which was, I need to read this, wait a minute, Titerogaka. Tyterogaka. Wow, what a name.
Wow, that's complicated to say.
So Lanzarote was much easier to remember.
Much easy to remember and to pronounce.
Yeah,
Forget it.
that's right. That's right. So the first conquer was that one, but I mean, in a clear day, you can see the island of El Hierro, and that was the second one he went to, where they met little resistance from the local population. So he had already two islands conquered. Okay, and then there was another um, navigator called Jan de Betancourt that set course for Fuerteventura. Uh, Fuerteventura is the easternmost of the islands, the one closest to the shores of the North African continent. There, he was not very well received by a very large part of the Aborigines, the local population, with whom he had to fight and harass to gain total control of the extensive island of Fuerteventura. And that was the year 1405. And then Francisco, guess who wanted to get into the scene? Remember, we're talking
Right.
1400s plus.
1400s, Isabella and Ferdinand, I assume.
Ah, correct, correct. Yeah. So they decided to assume the command of the conquest after a very rapid work, from a year around Fuerteventura and the conquest experience, a few years and the less hassle and bustle. It was Mr. Hernan Peraza who had replaced the Normans, achieved a peaceful annexation of La Gomera, which is
Peaceful.
another peaceful annexation, yeah, of La Gomera, which is another of the islands. Well, anyway, his continuously respectful behavior and arbitrariness towards the population led to a rebellion of the Gomerans, which took place in the Torre del Conde, and it was in the year 1488. I mean, these are very specific facts that you might say, well, I mean, fine, but I mean, for the Canary Islands, these pieces of history are very, very important because they were isolated population there, the Aborigines, because even today in their genetics, they have that piece of information. Well, anyway, besides that, sorry.
No, but when you say that it might sound a little bit not interesting for the world, I mean, it is, to me, it's very interesting for the world
Yeah,
because once we reach the Canary Islands as Spain, Isabella and Ferdinand, the Catholic monarchs,
yeah,
as we were saying, they're going to use this as a hub spot to cross the
uh,
ocean. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
without the Canary Islands, I don't think we would have been able to cross all the ocean
Yeah.
because
Makes sense. Makes
the
sense.
other big crown crossing the ocean, it was Portugal. And Portugal are going to have the Azore Islands, are going to have
Green
Madeira.
Cape, Madeira. Yeah.
So all of these are hub spots for these
Yeah.
kingdoms to stop and keep on going to
True.
America. So,
That's right.
hey, it's a huge deal that Isabella and Ferdinand got it.
That's right. Yeah. So, well, a few years later, it was in 1478. Troops and sailors they landed in the beaches of La Isleta, which is in Las Palmas. Las Palmas, one of the two bigger islands of the archipelago. And well, the current history center of the capital and the point of form. Which years of battles began until they managed to take the last bastion of the local resistance, I'm sorry, which was the fortress of, what was the name?
And site.
Ancite, not Ansite. I tried to,
That's the English version.
yeah,
And see it.
Ancite, that is a local name, Ansite. Yeah, Ancite, that's right. Well, and then after that island, they arrived to La Palma, the other one that I told you earlier with the clear skies and everything. Okay, the name of the Aborigines in there is almost unpronounceable, but they use the geography and looseness of the islands to defend themselves by the conquistadors, managed by their captain, whose name was Tanausu, and he governed the impregnable area of the Caldera de Traburiente. Caldera means like a geyser,
Mhm.
in English. And as you said earlier, yes, it is. Everything is volcanic. We have to now. I mean, let's open a little parenthesis here. Not so long ago, in the island in La Palma Island, a volcano erupted. Do you remember
Mhm.
that?
Yes, it was to 2023, I think.
Oh, two, I think, 2022.
2023. And it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
non-stop for a couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was everybody thought it was going to be a huge, big blast, but no. I have to tell you, it was exactly 1 year after that happened when I was there, and I was at the hotel, and I have to book the flights with, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 months beforehand, something that was suitable for me to go, and also the hotel. Okay, what happened was the day before last, I was staying there. I was just getting up in the morning. I had my shower. I was sitting in bed, just getting myself dressed. And suddenly I heard a big, huge bang that I thought someone at the other side of the wall in another room, they were just banging the wall. But no, it was that the floor and the wall cracked.
Oh,
I
hell.
I freaked out. So I just almost naked. I was just going down the steps, you know, to reception. And I said, hey, this happened. Oh, not again. I said, what do you mean not again? And then they explained to me that since the volcano erupted, those things been happening constantly in the island. So there are shakes every single day specifically in that one in La Palma. Okay.
In La Palma. I
And
mean, the rest are quite settled.
oh yeah, the rest
I
they
mean,
are. I mean, they are volcanic and they are quite settled, but they are the westernmost ones that they are a little bit more not dangerous, but in that kind of edge of the plaques, continental plaques that they are moving now and again. And getting back into history, I have to tell you the last island it was conquered by the monarchs was the island of Tenerife. And Tenerife has, well, the year was 1476, and Tenerife has a peculiarity that the big, huge volcano, which is a sleeping volcano, is there. It's called Teide, Teide, and it is the highest mountain in Spain, although it's not in mainland, but it's Spanish territory, so it's
yeah,
considered Spain, obviously, with 3,700 meters high, and that's quite high.
it's a
That's quite
big,
high.
huge
Yeah,
volcano.
yeah, that's right. Have you been in Tenerife, Francisco?
Yes, I've been to Tenerife. I've climbed all the way up. Well, climb. You go by bus and then you climb the little last parts, and it's a
Yeah,
beautiful view. I mean, it to me it's like shocking because it's quite a green island and it's beautiful, but as you go that high, obviously there's no nature, there's no trees, and suddenly it's like if you are in Mars or in Jupiter. I mean, it's like
absolutely. Yeah.
so weird. I love that place. It's I don't know. I love the islands. Yeah.
Look, I've been there twice in Tenerife, in the top of the mountain, in those viewpoints that they have, and if you go there, I mean, and this is now for our audience, if you go there and you find, I mean, you have to have a car in those islands. You have to rent a car.
Yes.
I mean, that's for sure. You have to rent a car. Don't depend on public transportation. Don't depend
Uh,
on excursions. Just rent a car. They are very cheap. I have to tell you, they're really, really cheap and very affordable. Last time I was there, I paid, I think, 250 euros for a week, fully insured
because
car.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just worse. You have a car there and you just go. By the way, distances there are not measured by mileage or kilometers. It's measured by timing because something might be geographically very close to you, but the
Yeah.
road will not
It
help
tells you,
you.
oh, but Google Maps says it's only an hour. Oh, hell
No,
no.
no, 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 no way at all. So, as I was saying, if you're going to the Teide viewpoint, which is in the very top of the mountain, and you find yourself that it is sunny in the city of Tenerife down there, but then you find the clouds and you cannot see the top of the mountain, go. Just go. If it is clear, perfect. Of course, just go and you will see everything clear. But if it is cloudy, just go. Because I would say 90-95% of the times, you're going to find yourself that you are above the clouds and you're gonna see a beautiful landscape. It's like if you were flying, but at the same time you are static, you're not moving. So it's like flying over the clouds. It's absolutely
Oh,
fantastic.
I've
And
never been when it's cloudy.
oh, you never even it's cloudy.
Never,
Oh,
never.
wow. Yeah, and I call those moments, I call them my personal, how can I put this in English? My personal um, moving paintings because I mean the clouds obviously are in constant movement all the time, right?
Yes.
So you might find a patch of dark clouds in one side and a patch of clear clouds or mixed, and then suddenly after a couple of blinks everything has changed because they are just constantly moving and
Oh,
waving. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
well, I love. I mean, one of the things that for our listeners, if you get to go to the Canary Islands, please don't be fooled. When you go to the Teide, when you go to to the volcano all the way to the top, wear a sweater, a jacket, and
Oh,
everything.
oh yeah, that's very
You
important.
The thing is that
Absolutely.
everybody says, "Oh no, we're in the Canary Islands, which is nice and sunny, and it's 75 degrees." But you got to go very, 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 very high, which
Yeah.
means it's going to be very, very, very cold up there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and the
the day you
wind.
go to the
Don't forget
Teide
the wind. Don't forget the wind.
and the wind, there we go. I
Yeah.
mean, get a sweater, get a jacket, and drive up because it's beautiful.
People down there, locals in the Canary Islands, they are so nice, so attentive. They have special accent, and I mean, just the way they talk is like you are embraced by their kindness,
They're
and
warm.
they're very warm. I mean, I just love
Yes.
them. And also females, males, they have a kind of a special beauty. Is that DNA, that Aborigine DNA that has
Native
native?
DNA.
It is very special, and also the accent. And besides that, just talking about what you just said about if you go up to the top of the mountains or want to explore a little bit, it was the very first day I remember in my recent trips that I've gone there in the hotels when the people at the at reception they were asking not because they wanted to be nosy, it's just because of they want to be warm.
They're just nice.
Oh, how are you gonna? What are you doing today? Where are you heading to? So you just get into the conversation. I mean, you got nothing to lose, and you're there on holidays, and just relax. Okay, not what today. We're going to go to the Cascades. That is whatever the name. Oh, but that's very high in the mountains. So yeah, you have a jacket with you, and I remember a jacket, but I mean, it's not hot, but it's not cold either. So, you know what? Take a jacket with you and put it inside of your car and take it there because you never know. She was so right. She
It
was
was
so right. You have no
easy.
idea how much I thanked her when I got back regarding having the jacket with me in the boot of a car or the trunk. And yeah, it's suddenly if you prepare yourself ahead, the routes that you want to make is take your time. There is no rush there. Time runs in a different way. Don't expect getting into a restaurant and be served immediately.
Oh no,
Just adapt yourself to the timing. You're
to
not
the
in a
rhythm.
rush. You're on holidays. I know that you want to take the most of your holidays in exploring the islands, any of them, but that's the way life is there. You know,
Yeah.
that's the way
I
it
mean,
is.
I think you're so right. You need to adjust to their rhythm.
Hmm.
They will not adjust to your rhythm. I mean,
Correct.
you're there to visit, you're there to relax, to enjoy beauty. Embrace it.
Yeah.
Just embrace it.
Correct.
And don't
Yeah.
try to fight against it because it will not work.
Hmm. And now, just beside exploring, if you like exploring, let's say that the Canary Islands, I mean, I don't know if you will agree with me or not, Francisco, but I've always said that the Canary Islands for Europeans is like, could be Hawaii for North
Yes.
America.
Yeah. I think it's for all Europe, the Canary Islands is our Hawaii. It's, the volcanic in the middle of the ocean,
Yeah,
isolated, peaceful, beautiful,
correct. Yeah.
but
And
with a big
that
difference. I've heard that Hawaii right now is mega expensive.
is all
The
right.
Canary
Yeah.
Islands are not.
Mm. No, the Canary Islands, that they're very, very affordable. They're very
Yeah.
affordable. Yeah. The only thing that is really expensive for non-residents are to fly in between islands. But you have ferries. If you got time enough, you can go on ferries from one island to another and then fly back to Europe mainland. And that leads me, Francisco, also to say that being the weather guaranteed most of the year, like in about 90-95% chances it's going to be good. Let's talk about tourism a little bit. Okay, there are masses of tourists going there.
Yes.
There are charter flights, especially to the Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, Las Palmas, and also Tenerife. Okay, the south of the island of Tenerife is known as German City.
It
So
is.
it is. Also, a lot of Brits. We're not saying here in a derogatory
Ooh,
way. Sorry, it is just
a fact.
the a fact. Yeah, and also Las Palmas. Las Palmas, the south of Las Palmas is a national park with immense and mammoth dunes and beaches there. They are not very easy to reach because you have to walk for about a mile from where the buildings ends to the actual beach. Okay, unless you go to either the east or the west of the island where the weather is not that guaranteed as good as it could be in the south. So what happened? All the complexes are like kind of inland, very high activity of nightlife there of all kinds, nightclubs, restaurants. They're open until maybe 1, 2 in the morning, all kind of food except local food. So the last trip I made to that island, the others, it was just to relax. Okay, just to relax and nothing. But this last trip, it was just to explore the island. And I discovered beautiful, beautiful places, beautiful towns up in the mountains, beautiful corners, including by the water as well. And it's a different kind of tourism. If you go to where the hot spots are, you're gonna find people of all ages. But if you just divert out of the mainstreams, you're gonna find very touristic spots, but a different age range of people. So that makes experience totally, totally different. Absolutely.
So you have touch a little bit about the food. What are food
Ooh.
specialties in the Canary Islands? Because I mean, we're in the tropic, which means that we have very good fruit, at
Yeah,
least.
well, fruit. I mean, well, that's very peculiar that you're saying that because, all right, a lot of fruit. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Everything is volcanic, so it's not easy. I'm very rocky. I'm very hilly Okay, so it's not easy to make big plantations. The main production of fruits in the Canary Islands are bananas.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean they were supplying the European continent for I think it was 25 years. That was in the treaty of when Spain joined the European Union, and also uh, most of the fruits are imported from Spain mainland. They also have a lot of orange groves as well and citrics, but not as many as they could be here in the peninsula.
Very nice.
But the one thing that I go nuts for are something that they call, I don't know in English how to say it, papas arrugas,
Oh,
wrinkled
wrinkled potatoes.
potatoes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. They are tiny little potatoes. I don't know the name of the variety, but they are very, very tiny, no bigger than a ping pong ball,
yeah.
right? So they have each family, native family in the Canary Islands, they have a special pot only for that, and it has been inherited for generations. It's made out of either cast iron or something like that, and that is used only for that purpose. We have to have to be cooked in a very, very special way. Just imagine you're covering the bottom part of that pot with potatoes, just halfway through with water and loads of salt, loads, exactly the same weight of the potatoes, salt, okay, sea
Wow.
salt. And then when the water evaporates and you can hear the cracking that the potatoes are kind to getting stuck to the pot is when you have to get the pot and shake it several times, put it back on the fire and then shake it again several times. And that's how they get kind of semi-roasted inside of the pot, and they get wrinked or with
Wrinkles.
wrinkles, right? And then they have a mix of spices, which is called mojo picon. They have two kinds of them. One is the green and the other is the red. And with that spices, together with oil, what you do, the measure is exactly the same amount in liquid, 50 milliliters for just to say a number, and 50 grams of the spices. You mix it all and you have to let it sit for a few hours, that mix. And then all you do is it's very easy. Just get the potato with your fingers, with your hand, just like that. Dip it in that sauce and eat it like that. Oh my God.
It's so good.
Oh
A
my
lot of
God.
people, a lot of foreigners, they consider this mojo picon, the sauce,
Yeah.
like a chimichurri. It has nothing to do
No
with it. It
way.
has
No
nothing to do with it.
way. No,
But it's like
it
chimichurri.
might look like it. It might
Yeah,
look like it, but no, it's not.
but it's
It's
not. I
totally
mean, and the thing is
different.
that the potatoes are boiled but roasted at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I need
Yeah.
some of those right now.
Yeah, that's right. And also, Francisco, guess which is the other thing that is very popular in the Canary Islands? Remember,
What
I was
is it?
gonna give you a hint, a
Okay.
couple of hints. First, volcanic. Second, very hilly.
Volcanic and hilly. I don't know. Grapes?
Goat.
Oh,
Goat.
goat. Oh, that's right. Goat.
Goat, yeah, goat. It's not easy. When you go to a restaurant, you find pork loin steak and beef steak. It's like, wow, they've done their shopping, in the big markets because in local neighborhoods, it's not popular to find them. And also, they are very expensive because most of them are imported. And the goat there is really, really popular. And they have an immense variety of stews, soups, roasted, just on a barbecue. I mean, the gastronomy of the Canary Islands is very peculiar, very different, but at the same time so delicious. It's very,
Yes.
very, very nice. Yeah.
Also, they're beginning to have quite interesting wines.
Oh my goodness, yeah. The wines, and cheeses as well, and goat
They
cheese,
have
right?
cheese.
But the wine there is, it must be the salinity of the air because they are surrounded, they are islands, and so wherever you get vineyards growing, they have to be on kind of like a steps on the side of the hills, and they have to be close to the water geographically, and it has to be like the saltiness of the
The
humidity,
air.
and also I'm pretty sure the volcanic soil has a lot to do with it. Okay, and well, in a way, it reminds me a little bit of the Chacolí wine
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
in
that
the north of Spain.
freshness. Yeah, that freshness, that kind of, I don't know, it's becoming quite interesting. I mean, the Spanish wine production, it's quite famous around the world. And now also the Canary Islands are having very, very interesting wines, which is kind of
Yeah,
amazing.
that's true. Yeah.
And
So,
Jorge,
guys, if you wanna go to the Canary Islands, if you have a chance, yes, please just give it a try because it deserves. It's one of those little gems that they are hidden. I mean, it's not hidden, but for those who are not Europeans, you probably have heard of them, but it deserves a visit. If you are an explorer, by all means. If you just want to relax, by all means. If you just want to get to know a little bit of another kind of Spanish
culture,
tradition, way of living, lifestyle, etc., try it.
it's worth it.
It's
You
worth.
are
It's worth.
so.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully our listeners have enjoyed a little talk about it, about the Islas Canarias, the Canary Islands. Thank you, Jorge. I'm right now in the mood to get on a plane and go to the Canary Islands. I need that. I need a little bit of papas arrugas and a little bit of mojo picon because it's so good.
Yeah, I've been very lucky that for the last few years, every single year I found a gap of a few days just to go there, and I am taking advantage to discover those islands that I don't know very well. There's only two of the islands that need to go. One is La Gomera, and the other is the island of El Hierro. To the six of the islands, with the exception of El Hierro, you can fly from the peninsula. To go to El Hierro, you have to fly first to any of the other islands and then get a plane to fly there or a ferry because the islands is so protected. I would say the entire thing is a natural park that besides that, there is no space for an airport. There's a little aerodrome there for in case there is any wildfire or something like that for little planes, those that catch the water and
Mhm.
fly over the fires. But it's not long enough to run away for a regular aircraft. Doesn't matter how small they are. But anyway, that's one of the things in my bucket list, and I wish that soon I have the chance to go and visit.
Hopefully you will.
Thank you.
Anyway, hopefully, as we were saying, everybody has enjoyed this talk about Canary Islands. If you have enjoyed it, please give us a like, either on Spotify or especially if you're doing it via YouTube. It
Yeah.
really helps us position
Yeah.
our podcast.
Not
And
only
please
not
subscribe to the
only a
podcast.
like, not only a like, Francisco. Subscribe to the
Yes.
channel. Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah,
Give us a
that
like.
helps a lot.
We would
That
love
helps a lot. Yeah,
that.
that helps a lot. And
Thank
also,
you very, very much.
wait a minute.
Oh,
If you've been to the Canary Islands, guys out there, if you've been to the Canary Islands, please share your photos with us. SpanishLoops@gmail.com. Okay.
please
And
do so.
if we get enough photos from all of you from all these podcasts that we are now making on YouTube, who knows? We might make a chapter dedicated to whoever send
Photos.
those photos, different people and different locations, etc., etc. So make it. We'll do
Thank you
it.
so much. Jorge, thank you very, very much. I shall see you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Yeah. And well, chicos, adios, everybody. Bye bye.
Adios, amigos. Thank you.
And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our thoughts. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast. No spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.